And welcome to another edition of Peek Behind the Curtain, the show where we go behind the scenes of some of the latest SMSU drama productions. On this episode, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of talking about a specific production, we're going to be talking a little bit more about kind of a genre, so to speak. Today, we are talking improv. And joining me today to talk about this subject is one of the members of the Take Two improv troupe here at SMSU, Mr. Brady Berg. Brady, how are you doing today?
Good. How's it going?
I'm doing good. It's December here. We're kind of rounding the corner of this year, so hopefully we'll end it on the year stronger than we have been going, at least. So
The low bar.
yeah, it was a pretty low bar. 2021 does not have a lot to live up to, but hopefully we can improve it or something like that. But let's just get into kind of the conversation here. So when a lot of people talk about improv, I think a lot of people think, oh, it's just you make up the most random thing, come up with the funniest thing that pops in your head, doesn't really matter, just throw everything at the wall. What does improv mean to you? How close or far away is that definition kind of to you?
Well, I think there's certainly times where that might be the thing you want to do, depending on your audience or depending on the prompt you have. But I think for the most part, I think of improv as just trying to make something relatable, just kind of connect whatever the prompt is to real life, something that the audience can connect with, and that they would think is funny in some way. Which is why I really like doing it on a college campus, because it's pretty easy to do that, because there are a lot of different topics that we can talk about and connect on, that if you were to make that same joke just at an improv troupe at a bar somewhere, it really just wouldn't work.
And so one thing that I think will surprise people is you guys do kind of have practices or rehearsals for something like this, which sounds kind of weird when it is kind of, when you think improv, it is kind of make it up as you go, but you guys do kind of practice this. So what is that like? Is there like a rule that says if you make a joke during a rehearsal, you can't make that ever again? Or how do you kind of work around that?
Well, the short answer to that question is no. The long answer is you don't want to do it anyway. Repeating a joke just wouldn't work. It'll only be funny to you, and improv, for the most part, is a group effort. So if you're out here trying to make this joke again, but no one else in the troupe wants to, or they think that that's dumb, you're just going to be standing there saying half of a punchline. For the most part, rehearsals are mainly to practice the skill of improv, of thinking on your feet, of doing yes and. It's not necessarily to get this joke right.
It's also interesting. You kind of bring up, sometimes you're doing a joke that some people might not be on board with, or you almost have to convince them. If you're on like a set, or you're in rehearsals of like a scripted play or something like that, and you want to go somewhere, you can kind of take that time and like explain it to people, like, okay, this is my end game and everything. Have you ever been in a situation, or how would you get out of a situation where it's like, I know this joke is going to land. It may not seem like it right now, but I know this joke is going to land. How do you kind of divert your other troupe members to kind of go along with you on that?
You can usually tell when somebody's doing that. Like, if they're saying something that you just don't get, that doesn't make sense with the prompt, there's almost always an ulterior motive. Like, if the question is like, what did you eat today? And you bring up like where you've been or something, it's like, oh, okay, that's not really answering the question. That's not going with the theme.
Yeah.
They're clearly going to get there on their own time. I'll just kind of nod my head and smile.
Have you ever been into situations like that where you're like, you feel like you're almost fighting someone on a scene and you can't really like pause and like take a time out and explain it to someone? Or has it been a pretty well-oiled machine that you guys have had in your performances?
Maybe when I first started, but for the most part, you want to avoid like fighting for it. Like, if you know the other person you're working with already is headed in one direction, you're not supposed to tear that down and go your own way. Like, the thing that people say with improv is it's always yes and. It's not no but.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can tell that, oh, this person's going to kind of take the reins on this one, you just go with it no matter what. You can add on to it as much as you want, but if you try to take it and be the star of the show, it's just not going to work out. No one will think it's funny at all when you could have just had two funny jokes instead of one subpar one.
What to you helps make a good working together troupe? Like, what are some of the qualities you think a couple people have to make a good, like, improv team, so to speak?
You have to like each other.
That's a good start just in any context, I would say.
You have to like each other and you have to have fun with it. Because if you're going there, if you're trying to make other people laugh with people that don't make you laugh, then it's never going to work. You have to at least mesh in that way. And I think that we do that pretty well.
So nowadays, obviously, we're in a little bit different environment, a little bit different climate because of COVID. And I don't want to talk too much about it because we've heard enough about it. But how is your rehearsals and your performances different now as they were, let's say, a year ago?
So the main difference between rehearsals, say, last year and currently are that we had rehearsals. For those of you who might not know, all in-person club activity on campus has been put on the rest of the semester. So our only option now work, but we just didn't feel we were benefiting from that at all. And so with the time that we've allotted to normally rehearse, we just kind of hang out. We still meet in the same Zoom, but we don't do anything. We usually just talk, hang out, and play Among Us or something. I don't know.
Well, and you just mentioned like one of the big things that helps is that you like each other. So in a weird way, it is still kind of forming the troupe as, you know, it's kind of a bonding experience. You get to know each other a little bit more. So I got to assume that would help form that relationship as well. So in a way, it is still kind of like a rehearsal then, isn't it?
And it kind of works out because this year we didn't have auditions to anyone new to the troupe because we already had enough people. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of worked out that the year where we can't have rehearsals is also the same year where nobody needs to learn the games. We all already know them.
And that sound means it is time to take an intermission here, and that is where we talk about some of the more upcoming productions coming up here at SMSU. The 2020 calendar year is coming to a close, thank God. And so what's some of the things we have to look forward to here in 2021, Brady? What do we got looking up?
Well, the thing that I'm looking forward to most that's coming up first is that Clue the Musical is performing. The show that I'm directing, have been directing. Basically, the synopsis of the show is that it's the classic board game come to life. All the characters interact with each other, reveal their motives to kill Mr. Body with a bunch of little campy jokes and songs. I think that the most unique part of the show is that the ending is actually different every time it's performed. It's picked at the beginning of the show by 3 audience members who have no idea what it is. And in all, there's 216 different endings. And if it weren't for COVID, we would have actually performed it this last weekend, December 10th to 13th. But we're going to be performing next semester, January 28th through the 31st.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Clue, the movie, the 1980s movie. I'm not very good at the board game. I wanted to be a detective when I was like in elementary school, and then I found out pretty early I'm not a great detective. But I do love the idea of the show. I love the idea that it's going to be different every time. Very similar to Clue, the movie. They had shot like 3 different endings, I think, for that, and it was random depending on which movie theater you went to. So yeah, 200 plus different endings. So you really don't know what you're going to get when you come to the show. And it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
We're talking about improv. You guys kind of you don't know really what show you're going to perform each time then, correct? You kind of have an idea, but.
Yeah, for this, we only know after the show starts. And so it's kind of insane, especially for our Mr. Body, who has to like kind of give the clues to tell people what the ending is.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has to know that as soon as that first scene is over, he goes into the next one.
Yep.
It's kind of insane. I'm not envious of him.
So, yeah, with everything that's going on right now, there are some different rules and regulations in the theater. There is limited seating capacity. I can't remember what the percentage is, but it is less. So check out those dates, mark them on your calendar, go to all of them if you want to, because it's going to be different every time. As far as, different show each time, might as well. And yeah, you want to get there early so that you make sure you have a seat. Masks, I believe, are on all times while in there. We want to make sure that people are safe and are feeling safe when we go to these fun shows. 2020 has not been great, so let's find these little gems that we can and make life a little bit better. I'm super looking forward to this show. I can't wait to see it. Again, not great at Clue, the board game. Maybe this will help me get a little bit better at playing it then.
Actually, you'll be able to play along with the show as well. Before the show starts, everyone in the audience will get a little sheet that they can follow along with and tick off whether they think it's Professor Plum, Colonel Mustard with the wrench or the knife in the billiard room or the library as they go, and sort of knock out the ones that they don't think it is. And so
that's awesome.
By the end, you'll win your first game of Clue.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be the time too when I'm not even competing against anyone. It'll be like me and like 10 other people who get it. So I'll win, but I'll have to share the win with everyone else. But no, I think that's really awesome. That's essentially like a lot of mystery movies and everything. You're doing that anyway in your head, but now you actually have a sheet to help you keep track of it and everything. So I think that's super awesome. Again, Clue the Musical coming out this January here at SMSU. You're going to want to check that out. Okay, so now it's showtime. With any other production, you've rehearsed for months. You know how it's going to go down, or at least you hope you know how it's going to go down. You've practiced these improv games, but you never know what's going to happen. Never mind the fact that, you guys take suggestions from the audience. You never know what they're going to say either. So how do you get in the headspace of the unpredictability? Does that actually make you more nervous, or is it kind of freeing?
To me, I think it totally depends on the game because, like I mentioned, a lot of the games are group effort. And so for those, you really have someone else to depend on. Like, you can just walk in and kind of get the feel for things before you fully commit. And so it's really only pretty nerve-wracking, for me at least, when it's one of the games where there's just a prompt and then you come up and do a short bit and leave. For us, we have the game Freeze Tag. Or no, not Freeze Tag. I'm sorry. We have the game Scenes from a Hat. And in that game, it's usually Bella will just have prompts that she got from the internet. And we'll read them out, and we have to go up 1, 2, maybe 3 at a time and just make a short little scene and then leave. That's pretty nerve-wracking because if you don't have a joke immediately, if no one has a joke, as soon as she finishes that question, it's just dead air.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, every other one, you can just go on with your partner or the rest of the troupe and just have fun with it.
Do you have like kind of a warm-up session, or is there anything like you do kind of before the show that like either you personally or as the group does before any performances?
Yeah, we usually try to run all the games we're performing one time through. And that's in addition to like doing stretches and like little brain exercises just to get us thinking and moving, like acting stuff. It's kind of like the High School Musical Sharpay.
Oh yeah. I think a lot of people just saw that in High School Musical and were like, is that what everyone does all the time? And I think there are variations of it everywhere that I think are kind of closer to that, but not always like that.
Yeah,
But
it's dramatized, but it's totally true. It's
yeah, yeah.
100% real.
So you mentioned some of the games. Let's just kind of go into sort of a highlight reel of some high moments. What sort of things people can expect to see at these shows? Because I love going to your guys' shows. It is very unpredictable. It's different every time. What's one of your favorite games to play during these performances?
The game I mentioned earlier on accident, freeze tag, I like a lot. I think that one's super fun, and it allows for a lot of really different moments that just go one after another. For instance, my first show I was in, we did freeze tag, and I don't know if you know Noah Patterson. He was on stage with someone else, and he was on the ground all fours, and so I yelled freeze to hop in there, and I just looked at him in my first show, and I said, Noah, I'm sorry, there's only room for one of us, buddy. And because the person before was just pointing at him, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna point a gun at him.
You literally went out guns blazing your first show, basically, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, jump the shark, jump the shark, 100%.
Other side of that coin, are there any games you really don't look forward to, or it was like, yeah, that one I'll let everyone else kind of do their part on that one?
Yeah, I usually sit out a lot during scenes from a hat.
Oh yeah,
I, I don't know. I like the group mentality, so it kind of messes with me to go out on my own. But you know what? Spring 2021, baby. That's what it's all about. We're gonna be doing scenes from a hat every day.
yeah. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about that I just kind of thought of now. So this is sort of a deep cut for some people who have watched some of your shows in years past, but I know there was a running gag with Paul because you guys did a Halloween show where he dressed up as Darth Vader and he had a blue
And brought
lightsaber.
his blue light. Yeah.
And I think I heard you guys reference or make that joke like 2 to 3 shows after at least. So
More like I think it was like a year and a half we kept the joke going. I'm
which
fairly sure we made that joke after he graduated.
oh did you? which
Probably.
which to be honest, I think is a justifiable joke. Why would you be Darth Vader but have the blue lightsaber? If he
He
dressed up
totally
as Anakin, it'd be okay, but
he totally deserved to get bullied for that.
yeah. If you're gonna do Star Wars, you know the risks when you're getting into it. You got to be accurate as heck. So I guess my question is, so running gags can be fun for the audience, but how much do you focus on them knowing that there are going to be people who don't know the gag? Like, it's kind of a gutsy call doing the blue lightsaber thing, because especially a year down the line, because you don't know how many people are going to get that right away. How hard do you hit that? And in anything, in improv or any other show?
Yeah, running gags are generally frowned upon. The only reason we did that one because it was really funny at first, and then it slowly got not funny, and then it got to the point where we kept doing it, digging deeper and deeper into the ground of not being funny, that it became funny again. And I think that's where the je ne sais quoi is. And so for the most part, we shouldn't have done that second half. If we could just reference it one or two or even three at most shows after, that's when it kind of had a sweet spot. But with improv, it's supposed to be all new things. So really, the idea of a recurring joke goes against that.
You do bring up an interesting point, though. I remember there's like some early Simpsons bit I think I either read about or saw, or a combination of both. Where like Matt Groening, the creator of Simpsons, there's a bit where Homer falls down the stairs, and it goes on forever, like 2 minutes of just him falling down the stairs, and then they'll cut, and it's just him falling down the stairs again. And he talks about there's this thing in comedy. It's a really high risk, high reward thing where it's like, if you keep doing a joke, it's really funny at first, and then you keep going and it gets less funny. But if you keep going long enough, it'll all of a sudden be funny again. So I don't know. Maybe if you guys keep going with the blue lightsaber thing, maybe all of a sudden people will think it's funny again. I don't know how that works. It's a really hard thing to play with, but I think you guys did it really well, especially later on in some of those shows, because it was like a one-off thing. So if people didn't get it, they didn't get it, but it was only like it only took up like 2-3 seconds of the show.
And we always kind of made a point to explain it to some extent if there were any new people.
Yeah. Which, and it's not even that hard of a joke to explain too, which is another reason why I think you guys get away with it, is because, oh, he dressed up as Darth Vader and he brought a blue lightsaber.
What an idiot.
Yeah, yeah. Most people, even people who don't like watch Star Wars religiously, would be like, I don't think Darth Vader has a blue lightsaber, does he?
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. So one last thing I guess I'll ask you is, to people out there who like to perform, who like to be on stage, like to entertain, but find the idea of improv and the unpredictability kind of nerve-wracking or scary, what are some of the things you would tell them to like calm them down? Or what do you think are the benefits of doing improv in helping you as an actor in general?
I think that the best thing that you can do to help yourself not be nervous, to have the audience really enjoy what you're doing, and to just overall put on a better performance is to be funny. Say that will make you feel more confident in your improvisation other than to practice. And I think that if performing is something that you're interested in or want to pursue, I think that pursuing improv is probably a really good thing to do. Because if you're not comfortable with doing that, then that might have a negative effect on your other performances. And I think it's best just to hone yourself as a rounded actor rather than one who specializes in something.
Would you say improv has helped you become better as far as on stage, even scripted performances as well?
100%. I think that improv is helpful in performance. You know, if something goes wrong, that's like one of the wonderful things of theater is that you can go. But even in the rehearsal setting, when you're still developing character and know how you want to perform and like how you want to present yourself, it's really helpful to be able to kind of go off the cuff at rehearsal once in a while, to kind of do something different that you hadn't done in the month or 2 months you've been rehearsing.
And that's going to do it for us here on Peek Behind the Curtain. I would like to once again thank Brady Berg for joining me here today and talking about improv. Brady, once again, what sort of productions and shows are you guys working on here for the near future?
Coming up for Clue the Musical, once again, it's performing on January 28th through the 31st, Thursday through Sunday. And our next drama club production that we haven't even really started is Wind in the Willows, which will be performing February 25th through the 28th. And as for improv, we don't have any shows planned yet, but we are hoping that we can perform as close to normal as we can, kind of the same 3, 4, 5 shows in a semester that we've always done.
So yeah, if you're in the Marshall area and you want to check out some fun shows, be on the lookout for both Clue the Musical, Wind in the Willows, and just keep your eyes peeled for any Take Two improv shows. You won't leave disappointed. I'm busting a gut laughing every time I watch those shows, so you're going to want to check those out. For myself and Brady Berg, we would like to thank you for taking a peek behind the curtain with us.